They looked at the most men and women of the world, and they found that they had like 7 or 8 things in common. And one of the things they all had in common was a routine. Failing to prepare was preparing to fail. The night before a game, I ate the same food. I went to bed at the same time I got up. I ate the same breakfast. So the routine and the preparation, some people call it superstition, but it's a routine. The stronger your mindset is, the greater your skill set is going to be. We remember the stuff we earn, the stuff we experience more than what the teacher tells us or what someone gives us for free. A company is simply a group of people. As a leader of people, you have to be a great listener. You have to be a great motivator. You have to be very good at praising and looking for the best in people. You think Warren Buffett, reading just to be read. The majority of you are poor because you read poor stuff. Everything was done to try to learn how to become a better basketball player. Everything. So when you have that point of view, then literally the world becomes your library to help you become better at your craft. It's what goes on between this year and in our hearts that determine our lives out there. There's no world out there except what's going on here. I think it's important that you really like whatever you're doing. If you don't like it, life is too short. If I'm lying to you about who I am, or I'm lying about whatever, there's no starting point. There's a false reality. You have to create the real reality. It's a good separation for me, emotionally, to be able to put myself in a place where at practice or when I'm training or during games, I switched my mind to something else. I became number 1 in the world. I became a millionaire, not because I made more money, but because they told me millionaires only live off of 30% of their income. I became a millionaire because I did what millionaires did. I stopped living off 100%. What does it mean? Time is money, right? How do you multiply time? How do you buy time? Rich people buy time. Most of the people watching this thing should either not be in business if they've got one, or close it down if they've got one, because you got in business for all the wrong reasons and you don't have the balls to close them down because of what other people are going to say. You have no idea how limitless it is when you're not afraid of what other people think or say. You have no idea. There's not 2 people watching this that even has a concept of what it is to act as if you have no limits to your abilities. 0. I wrote a book called the Millionaire Booklet. I wrote that book in 2 hours. It was translated into 38 languages for free because of my social media standing around the world. I just asked a bunch of people, can you help me? 38 languages, and literally in 1 month, the whole book was produced, written, translated. Like, you need friends. Counterintuitive, 50-page pamphlet type book. Yeah. You're making not the New York Times bestseller. Yeah, where'd that come from? Another contrarian again, like the book publishers. They're dying. Come on, man. That's antiquated. You don't even count digital downloads. Like, what's wrong with you? So give them something they can read in a couple of hours. Give them something. 19 months to write my last book because the publisher was involved. Okay, I'm not supposed to write a book while I'm writing a book. So I wrote a booklet. Okay, wrote the booklet in 2 hours. The booklet made more money in 19 days than the book made in 19 months and was translated into 38 languages. The other book that took 19 months, publishers, editors, but all this energy, all this wasted freaking energy and money still hasn't been translated. So speed. See, I'm now back to how fast can I work? Compressed time. Time is money. Most people don't even understand the concept. Like, what does that even mean? They say it, but they don't know what it means. Yeah. Oh, it's a cute saying. It's a perfect t-shirt, but they're not actually applying it to their life. No, they're like, what does that mean? Man, what does it mean? Time is money, right? How do you multiply time? How do you buy time? Rich people buy time. So never say, I can't afford it. I would. My rich dad forbid his son and me to say the words, I can't. He says, ask yourself, how can I? So, like the reason I have so much money is because I don't say, I can't do it. I just go, how can I? So I just go and do it. I make a lot of mistakes, but that's how I learn. How can I? The poor people, like my poor dad, always said, I can't afford it. Do you think I made up money? I'm a school teacher. I can't do that. And I picked that up. And my rich dad never said those words. So when I meet poor people, they use the words I can't a lot. You know, it's like my wife, Kim is gorgeous. You know, absolutely drop dead gorgeous. The first thing I said is she won't go out with me. You know, my friends kept saying she'll never go out with you. And I said, well, if I let that stop me, she never will. So I asked her out for 6 months. So do that. I mean, it's what goes on between this year and in our hearts that determine our lives out there. There's no world out there except what's going on here. So the people that say, I can't afford it, I can't do this, I can't get to college. The rich are evil. You know, I choose not to participate in that. And that's one thing people could change today, right now, that dialogue in their head. Stop saying the word can't. I can't, right? So how can I, especially as in, I can't afford that, because that opens them up to looking at it as an investment to a greater future, right? You know, when I borrowed $300 million, I couldn't do it until I went to ask, and I got turned down so many times. I said, you know, and every time I show the bank my financials and they go, sorry, you're out of your numbers. Your numbers are out here. So if I get these numbers fixed, can I come see you again? He goes, sure. And he turned me down again, but I didn't go back and say, oh, I give up. I made sure the numbers were real and fixed them. So it's called rejection. Same as my wife rejected me for 6 months. It's just a matter of personal willpower, which is spiritual, just saying, if they can do it, I can do it. And how can I? How can I? I think, as you once said, words become flesh. You think Warren Buffett is reading just to be read. The majority of you are poor because you read poor stuff. You watch poor stuff. You're on Instagram watching fights. You're just scrolling through like you ain't got a life. For real. Some of y'all on Instagram, you're on there for 30 minutes. If I ask you what you saw, you only know you're just scrolling through. That's a poverty mindset. Rich people don't waste time. They realize it's their most important commodity. They don't watch a lot of TV. They don't do a lot of entertainment. If they're not working, they're studying their craft and getting better at their craft. Oh, you okay? I'm sorry. Okay, let me say it one more time. There was a language that I needed to learn. Does it mean I need to abandon the language I learned? Absolutely not. Does it mean I need to put on a certain type? Listen to me, when I do corporate, I promise you I look like this. I probably don't look this good sometimes. I got on shorts and a T-shirt in corporate. Why? Because I don't need to necessarily conform. They're not asking me to come to dress up, but I'm so good at what I do, they don't even require a suit. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Some of us don't want to wear a suit, but you're not on that level though. Or you want to wear a suit and act as if your suit is going to compensate for what you are inferior at. Your suit doesn't. Your suit doesn't make your language sweet. Some of you are wearing suits because you think like you're going to impress somebody with a suit, and you might get in the door, but sooner or later, what are you later? I was like, I'm quitting. My mom's like, don't you dare quit. You're going to embarrass me. You've got a wife and kids. Does YouTube have insurance? Does YouTube have a 401c? And I was like, I'm trying to be funny and I ain't trying to be disrespectful. I love you, but you can't teach me how to be a millionaire because you're not one. You come from the working class, and I'm not mad at you, Ma. We wouldn't be where we are without you. But you told me that every generation is supposed to get better. So I'll take your values, but I won't take your work ethic, because rich people don't work. They think the working class will never get rich. It wasn't designed. Oh, yeah. Okay, listen to me. This country became a wealthy country because they had employees they didn't have to pay. That's not like a rocket science. So when this country had to start paying people, they want to pay the least, the 3% that run the world. They're not trying. Let me tell you how I know. I'm from Detroit. We just laid off 15,000 workers, and the president of GM, she just got $22 million. We got $22 million to get one person when we laid off 15,000 people and we took their health care. That's already paid for. No disrespect to nobody, and I ain't playing no victim because I'm not a victim. Rich people don't work. They think poor people work. Poor people go clock in, I make this much an hour. Rich people go, I put them to work and I make this much in a house. See what happens? You're working for you and your family. One, they got 40% of you working at one time. So they're giving you 20% and they're keeping the 80% off of 15,000 people. That's enough to have $22 million. So what you have to decide is, are you going to keep being the 99 or are you ready to be part of the 1%? Because it doesn't make a difference where you come from. High school dropout, GED, it doesn't make a difference when you come from sleeping in abandoned buildings. It doesn't make a difference where you come from. A 17-year-old mom that got pregnant. It doesn't make a difference when you come from the south side of Chicago. It doesn't make a difference where you come from, pretty much raised in Detroit. It doesn't make a difference where you come from. Took 12 years to get a 4-year degree. It doesn't make a difference. You know what makes a difference? What makes a difference is when you become a 99 or a 1. And when I start thinking like, acting like, and behaving like a 1%er, everything changes. Is that clear? I'm here to talk about success. The first rule of success is to have a vision. You see, if you don't have a vision of where you go, and if you don't have a goal where you go, you drift around and you never end up anywhere. I mean, as you know, I was born in 1947 in Austria after the Second World War. So I was very fortunate that I stumbled under my vision. And I didn't really like Austria when I grew up. I couldn't wait to get out of there. I couldn't see myself becoming a farmer or a worker in a factory or anything like that, even though my parents wanted me to stay there and have a normal life. But that was their vision, not mine. My vision was totally different. I felt that I was born for something special, for something unique, for something big. Then one day I went to school. I remember it was 11 years old, and they showed a documentary about America. They showed this documentary, the huge skyscrapers, the high rises, the huge bridges, the 6-lane freeways, and all of this stuff in the same reserve. That's where I want to be. I don't want to be around here with these little farmhouses and these little buildings. I want to be in America one day. After school, I walked by a store in Graz, so I went inside and I looked around, and then I saw a magazine. It's a bodybuilding magazine that had Reg Park on the cover. Reg Park was then a 3-time Mr. Universe, and I saw him on the big screen as Hercules. I read that and I said to myself, wow, this is the blueprint for my life. This is exactly what I want to do. I want to become a bodybuilding champion just like Reg Park. I want to get into movies just like Reg Park. And I want to make millions of dollars and be rich and famous just like Reg Park. Do you know how great it felt that I knew where I was going? Imagine the majority of people don't know where they're going. I knew where I was going, that I'm going to become this bodybuilding champion just like him. So it was just a question of how do you do it? I was so relieved because when you have a goal, when you have a vision, everything becomes easy. So people always ask me when they saw me in the gym in the pump and iron days, they said, why is it that you're working out so hard 5 hours a day, 6 hours a day, and you always have a smile on your face? And I told people all the time, because to me, I'm shooting for gold. In front of me is the Mr. Universe title. So every rep that I do gets me closer to accomplishing that, to make this core, this vision, turn into reality. Every single set I do, every repetition, every weight I lift will get me a step closer to turning this goal into reality. So I couldn't wait to do another 500-pound squat. I couldn't wait to do another 500-pound bench press. I couldn't wait to do another 2,000 reps of sit-ups. I couldn't wait for the next exercise. At the age of 20, I went to London and I won the Mr. Universe contest as the youngest Mr. Universe ever. And it was because I had a goal. So let me tell you something. Visualizing your goal and going after it makes it fun. You've got to have a purpose. No matter what you do in life, you've got to have a purpose. But you have to do something every day that scares you. And that's a takeoff from Helen Keller, who said, or not said, she was deaf, dumb, Everything, she couldn't do anything. And she said every day she did something to scare herself. Well, if you and I had all those afflictions, just getting out of bed would be scary enough. And so I decided that one of the differentiations between the people that got the most out of the week-long seminar and the year-long free mentoring for me is people that really press themselves hard. So I translated that into they've got to do something. And listen, what they did to scare themselves every single day. Is that the essence of really what you do? Is it getting people to take more risks or to get out of their comfort zones and then the wealth comes later? It's not just out of their comfort zones. It's the change of reality. Okay? You know, your reality is different than my reality. And your followers' realities are all different. But it's to change your reality and to make yourself accountable. That's not just getting outside your comfort zone. It's the change of your reality and making yourself accountable. Okay? Not just accountable to somebody else, accountable to you, to me, because that's the ultimate. Ultimately, that's the only person you should be accountable to yourself. And we grow up, in my judgment, wrongly, that we don't hold ourselves accountable enough. We just don't. We just don't. We've learned to come up with reasons why we can't do this, reasons why it's okay not to do this, reasons why you didn't follow up on time, reasons why I told the guy I'd get back to him by Wednesday and it's now Friday. Oh, it's the weekend. I'll now get back to him on Monday. And life has gotten simpler now with the internet and with email and the things where the communication is almost instant. You think it should be easier, but it's not. I used the analogy 25, 30 years ago when you were going to buy $100 million company, your due diligence would be 3, 4, 5 weeks. And it'd take you 3, 4, 5 weeks to close the deal. Okay? A month and a half, 6 to 8 weeks. With the internet, it should take less time because the information is instantaneous. It takes us twice as long to close a deal now. Twice as long. There's no reason for that. Things haven't gotten twice as complicated, but somebody has to put their name on the line. Somebody wants to push off the accountability. Somebody would rather have Brian sign off on it so they can go home early on a Thursday, knowing you're going to come in early on Monday and your signature will be on the document instead of mine, because I don't want to be accountable. And so the kids today have this need, this thirst for guidance. And the kids do better in the year-long mentor program than the older kids. So the kids in their teens and 20s do better than the guys in their 40s and 50s. That's because the guys in their 40s and 50s have a lot of baggage, bad habits. And it's tough to get rid of them. And motivation gets you started. Good habits keep you going. Most people just have piss poor habits. And I've had these same habits for about 50 years now. Okay? About 50 years. And I don't even think about it. I mean, then it's just like brushing my teeth, taking a shower. I just do it. And I know that if I had to build up these habits 20 or 30 years ago, at age 70, I certainly wouldn't be doing this. I don't fail very often. I do fail. You're pretty open about all the failures. Yeah, I'm not ashamed of them. Right? That's what's made me who I am. You said failure is just testing. Correct. It's just testing. And I don't know, and I'm quick to pull the